Hey everyone, I am here with Ayden Ames. She is a college volleyball player, and we're going to be talking about volleyball recruiting process and her awesome camp coming up with FlexWork Sports. So Ayden, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're at right now with your volleyball career.
Okay, my name is Ayden Ames. I am going into my sophomore season at the University of Texas on the volleyball team. I am from Prosper, Texas. I graduated from Prosper High School. And yeah, I'm just finished off season, heading into the fall where we're going to start our second season, or my second season. So
Big Texas girl.
yeah, stayed in Texas.
Yeah, we love Texas.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. So I saw that you were Gatorade Player of the Year. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of how you think that they selected you and what set you apart maybe from other players in that selection process?
Yeah, so I was selected for Gatorade National Player of the Year my senior year in high school. And honestly, I think the reason why I received that award was because of all of the different positions that I actually played on the court my senior year. So I'm a middle blocker here at Texas, but my senior year of high school, I was a middle blocker and outside hitter kind of at the same time, a combo. So I would hit on the outside and serve receive, and then I'd block in the middle and transition. And if you're a volleyball player, you know that that is not necessarily a position that anyone has ever played before. And I was able, my high school coach my senior year was just outstanding. And she was just able to put me on the court wherever was needed. And she trusted me wholeheartedly. And I was able to gain the trust of the girls around me. And we worked really well together as a team. I had some great support. And we were able to make it to the state semifinals my senior year of high school. And that was a huge goal for the team and I. And I think, again, like just the versatility that I was able to accomplish my senior year was a huge part in it, because I was able to touch the ball so much. And I just had the trust of so many people around me. Like, I could not be more grateful for that.
Awesome. Love that. And now, did you get a Gatorade bottle and do you still have it?
Yeah, Gatorade, actually, they gave me a whole bunch of stuff. They gave me towels, water bottles. I got to take a water bottle. They rolled out the red carpet for me that year, and that was awesome. It was an amazing experience. I got to go to the ESPYs that summer, and
awesome.
I was on stage at the ESPYs, and I was up there with Cooper Flagg, DJ Lagway, are just some notable names. Joyce Edwards on South Carolina basketball, and we were all up for Gatorade National Athlete of the Year, and a girl named Sadie won it for the girls and Cooper Flagg won it for the boys. But the experience in general was just amazing, being able to go out to LA with Gatorade, and they just, showered you with love while you were out there. So it was awesome.
Love that. My one of my really good friends from high school was a Gatorade Player of the Year. She got the Gatorade bottle. This is years ago. I think it was a little bit different. It was, you didn't get the full treatment back then, but I know she drank her Gatorade.
Like every day.
I was really thirsty one day. Like, I just drank it.
No way. I mean, might as well. They gave me like so many bottles. You know how you can carry around like the the basket, and it has like 6 compartments.
Yes.
So they gave me that with 6, and then while you were there, it was just like Gatorade, 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 Gatorade. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Love that for you. What do you have a favorite Gatorade?
The purple one.
Okay. Yeah, you got to call it by color. I'm with you on that, by the way.
Yeah, great. Purple.
Yeah. All right, awesome. So, what was your transition like from going from, the pace of playing in high school into college? And can you kind of maybe give anybody who's looking to play in college some advice on that?
Yeah, it was a huge change. I would say one of the biggest changes I've made in my volleyball career. And I actually was born and raised in California, and I made the move out to Texas. And I would say the transition from high school to college is even a bigger transition than going from state to state. It's just, college is so fast paced. You got to be, super good with your time. Got to make sure you're on time. Got to make sure you are consistent in every part of your life, whether it's nutrition, sleep, working out, on the court, on the practice court. It's just, playing in college really gets your life together. And I love the structure that it gives. But at first, when you get there, I actually graduated early. So I was actually a senior, technically still a senior in high school when I enrolled at UT. And it was the pace of the game that was the biggest change for me. And it was the speed of the sets, the speed of the serves, the strength of the players. Like, I played with some amazing players. My freshman year, I played with Madison Skinner and Jenna Wennis, Reagan Rutherford, some notable seniors that year. And it was, I would say, the biggest change of pace would definitely be the speed of the game. And a piece of advice that I would actually give to high school athletes that want to play in college is try and absorb information and feedback as fast as you can and try to apply it as fast as you can, because you're learning so much in such a short amount of time. You want to make sure that you're trying to squeeze everything in your brain while also retaining it and trying to, show it on the court. So, that's obviously you're trying to do that every day, but I would say if you could try and retain as much as you can, just soak it up like a sponge. Just be a sponge, be eager to learn, and just be eager to go out and play.
Awesome. And then I know it's always hard, right? It's like you have preseason and then you step in for your first game and there's nothing that could ever like prepare you fully. But do you feel like there's anything that can prepare you for a speed change in the game, or do you just kind of have to like embrace it when you get there?
Something that I would say that can really help that is just kind of like that mental block that keeps you from really showing your full potential. I would say just try and ignore that. Like, ignore the fans, ignore like the loudness in the gym. I would say just have it be you. Just imagine you, yourself, your team against the other team, and it just really slows the game down and really gets you into your own mindset. Because, my first game that I actually played in college, I was playing against 14,000 people in the Milwaukee Bucks Arena against the University of Wisconsin, like very notable volleyball program. And I was so scared. I was so nervous, but once I kind of got into the game and got my rhythm going, I just like blocked out all the noise and just really zoned in on what I was trying to focus in on. And I think as long as you just block out the noise, block out, the things that aren't necessary, that's really going to help you focus on the speed of the game, focus on what you need to focus on without really worrying about it, because it's such like an exciting environment. You just want to make sure that you're slowing it down in your brain.
Awesome. And then when did you know that you wanted to play in college?
I knew that I wanted to play in college when I was like 14 years old, because I grew up playing soccer and I never really found the love for it until I really stepped out on the volleyball court, and I got some really positive feedback from coaches, and I started getting some college letters, and I was like, maybe I really have a future in this sport. So I realized kind of going into high school, going into my freshman year, I was like, I really want to play college.
And how was your recruiting process like? Like, what happened? Was there anything notable that happened or pivotal moments within your recruiting process, good and bad, that you kind of, I guess, can speak on that may help others going through the recruiting process?
Yeah, so my recruiting process was very different. I would probably say from a lot of girls going through the recruiting process now. I was fortunate enough to able to commit very soon after the June 15th date. I committed to Nebraska at the time, and I was committed for a year and a half. I was super excited about my decision, and I ended up deciding that I needed to make the change to go to Texas. And that was October of my senior year. So it was very
Kind of
stressful.
close. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. At the time, it was very,
especially for fall sports,
Yeah, like the first time where I committed and the second time where I committed, very stressful.
Yeah.
But I would say, I haven't met a girl that has had the same recruiting process. Like, everyone is different, and I just cannot emphasize that the most. But something that I actually did to prepare was I talked to a lot of coaches, like over via email. I would make highlight reels. I would send them out. I would show them that I was interested, so that by the time June 15th came around, the coaches that I was interested in knew that I was interested, and so I would get some text messages from other coaches, and I would just have to let them know, like, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. At the time, I'm focusing on however many schools I was focusing on, and I was able to kind of zone in on my recruiting process there. But yeah, so I made the decision to go to Nebraska for about a year and a half, and it was a very stressful decision to, decide to decommit and go to Texas. But I mean, if there's any girls out there that are thinking about decommitting or transferring, like, I am really happy where I'm at right now. And I'm really happy that I made the switch to go to Texas. And Texas is just, the coaching staff that's there, they just offer you everything and more, along with all the resources and getting in the weight room, and just the life down there. She's awesome. So I would just suggest, if you are, thinking that you might want to transfer or decommit, just go for it, do it. Because you cannot have any regrets. You can have regrets looking back on it, like, oh dang, I wish I would have done that. But there's no regret for really, just I would want to say full send, like just really, really just going through with the decision that you really feel like your heart wants.
Yeah. And to your point, you're the person that has to wake up every morning at that place, or, doing the sport or not doing the sport or whatever it is. So I totally am with you on that.
Yeah, I could not emphasize more. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, my other question for that is, looking back on when you did decide to decommit and switch to a different commitment at a different school, anything that you wish you did differently, anything that you could advise anybody that you did really well? I guess talk about that a little bit for anybody that's like thinking about that, going through that same thing right now.
Yeah, I would advise girls that are going through the recruitment process for the first time is to really take their time, really sit down with their parents and really decide what means the most to you. I mean, I committed when I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And at the time, what I thought was really important to me ended up not being important to me. And when I was a senior in high school. So being a sophomore and a senior, like you don't think it's a big change, but you really just go through a lot. Like that just really emphasizes, where you want to be. Like I realized my senior year that I wanted to be closer to home. And it was hard because, Nebraska was a 9-10 hour drive away and Texas was a 3-hour drive. So just little things like that. Like you really want to make sure that before you get on a call with coaches, make sure you know exactly what you want in a school so that you can really zone in on the schools that you want to focus on without there being outside noise. Because you would never want to make a decision based on something that doesn't mean a lot to you. You're going to have your 3 columns. You're going to have things that are non-negotiable. You're going to have things that, that is important to you, but you can
we'll call them nice to haves.
Yeah, nice to have.
Yeah.
And then things that you don't really care about. So you just have to think about those 3 things. And when you're committing in the school that you commit to, make sure that it checks off all the boxes that you want in the non-negotiable category.
I completely agree with you. And as like a company, we agree with that too. It's something that we push a lot. It's like, hey, not only are you committing to play a sport at the school, but you're also committing to the school, and it's kind of tied in with your resume. Even if you end up transferring, like you're always going to be tied to the establishment in some way, shape, or form. So, and I know it's especially with volleyball, I feel like there is a lot of pressure in like with people committing. Back in the day it was earlier, but now there's like dates and everything, but maybe committing earlier, even on the June 15 dates and everything else. Did you feel like there was any sort of like pressure or anything at all at any point, or do you feel like you just kind of went along with the process? Or I guess any advice on people who are maybe feeling pressure from, I don't want to say egos and outside voices and stuff, but I guess for lack of better terms, that's what we'll go with.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many factors that come into it. Like if you happen to have a similar recruiting process as me, there might be a coach that might give you a time limit. A time that like you have to commit at this time. Like if you don't give us an answer by now, we're moving on. And I would say that's probably not going to be the school you're going to end up at, because you're going to want a coach that, is not just focusing on the numbers, but focusing on you as a person. And you're going to want someone that wants you for you. And a coach that wants you for you is not going to give you a time limit. I totally understand coaches that say, like, hey, listen, like we got a lot of girls, like, there's some girls that we need to decide on now. Like, I understand the thought process behind that. There's no hate against that at all. But I would say coming from an athlete along with a stressful recruiting process, that just adds an extra part of stress that is just kind of unnecessary. And girls don't want to lose out on a spot to someone else based on a time limit. And it's just really difficult for, a 15, 16-year-old girl to make that decision based on where she wants to spend the rest of her life in 24 hours. And the biggest advice I can give to someone is just, take your time, take your visits. Like girls, back when I was getting recruited, you can only take 5 visits, but now girls can take unlimited. And say, take your visits. You want to get on campus. You want to feel the vibes of the campus and really feel like it's your home, especially like if you're waking up every morning and this is your life. Like this is the coach's job, but this is your life. Like this is the school, again, like what you said, like you're going to be attached to for the rest of your life. you want to make sure that you really love it. Like, it doesn't have to be the right decision because of the transfer portal, but you want to make sure that at the time, like, you're making the decision that's best for you. And things obviously change down the road, and especially when you step on campus, but you just want to make sure you're making the best decision at the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think to your point, when you are stepping on campus, it's important to look at the other factors too, right? Like, do they have a major that you're interested in?
Exactly.
Are there resources like as far as like tutors or whatever else? I still think, I know people think it's funny, but like, do you like the dining hall? It's so kind of important. You got to eat there every day.
Every day.
Yeah. So like, are there things there that you like and dislike, and what are they? And to your non-negotiable point, I think that's important to note too. Like, what's a non-negotiable for you? Even if it seems like everybody else is like, that's so silly, it might be important to you. You just don't know.
You might be like, I don't want any hills on campus because I don't want to walk up a hill. And someone's like, I want a flat campus. I mean, sure. Right. Yeah.
Awesome. And then as far as, actually playing in college, what advice do you have for people who are, looking to kind of go through this recruiting process? Is it playing club? Is it playing, high school? Is it both? Talk about that specific to volleyball, of course.
Well, I would say volleyball wise, there's going to be a lot more girls that play high school than there are that play club. So I would say club is, it's very valuable because it's more of a smaller community of volleyball girls. But honestly, I mean, club is, I understand it's so hard for families. It's very expensive. It's a lot of travel. I understand. So it's like just making sure, like, when you're talking to coaches, find a team, find a high school team, find a club team that really fits you and really like highlights yourself. Because honestly, if you're a good player, coaches will find you. It doesn't matter if you're on the most popular club team in DFW or if you're on the least popular team that nobody really knows about. If you're a good player, the coach is going to find you. So you're just going to want to find a team that, really fits yourself, the position you want to play, everything like that in college. And just to make sure that you stay on the coach's radar, just get some good highlights of you, whether it's in high school or club, doesn't really matter. Just get some good highlights of you that really show your best volleyball, because, a coach is immediately going to be able to tell whether you're a good player or not. And I would say just find your best clips, whether it's high school or club, like, just to highlight yourself as a player, because again, if you're a good player, they will find you. There's not going to be a good player that's going to go unnoticed or uncommitted. So that's probably what I would say.
Given that you did play different positions when you were putting together your highlight tape, how did you kind of strategize that? Because it's not like you're just focusing on one position and the plays from that position. You're kind of all over the place. So how did you, I guess, go about that thought process?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So actually, when I was in high school, I would say that I was an outside. But again, like, if I would hit and block in the middle, I would prioritize those clips because that's the position that I was going to play in college. So again, if you want to be a setter in college and you're an opposite, like, show clips of you setting. Like, if you want to play setter in college, show clips of you setting. If you want to play middle in college, show clips of you blocking and hitting in the middle. Just things like that. Just because you also don't want to go to a place that doesn't play you in the position that you want to play in. So again, just highlight the best of yourself in the position that you want to play in college.
Awesome. And then as far as like NIL and everything that's going on with that now, which is super exciting, I think it's great for athletes. I'm very pumped to see it, change from, I was in college from, not that anyone cares what's listening, but from 2010 to 2014, nobody cares about me. So
just
there was no NIL. Yeah, exactly. Pre-NIL, So, how is that like changing the landscape? Are there opportunities for girls in the volleyball space to kind of go through any sort of, NIL deals? And can you kind of talk about what you've seen as far as that's concerned? Because I think the focus is always right, like football and basketball and everything else, but people are forgetting like, hey, these, women's sports are getting a lot of attention. So what have you seen as far as all that's concerned?
When it comes to NIL deals, again, I would say that what you just touched on, football, basketball, and women's basketball right now are like on a trend. So as a women's volleyball player, it is a little bit harder to find NIL deals with companies, whether it's like sponsorships or little videos here and there on social media or just kind of partnerships. It's just harder as a volleyball athlete because of the exposure in the sport. Like, I will always be and have always been an advocate for volleyball And that is going to be something that I ride till the day I die. I love the sport of women's volleyball, and I just want to make sure that more people can see that, because there's elite athletes in the sport of women's volleyball who aren't getting the NIL deals that women's basketball or men's basketball or football players are getting. And I understand that, you know, football is a highly revenue generating sport, especially at Texas and especially at big schools. So it's easier for them to get deals. But again, when it comes to women's volleyball, it's a little bit tougher to get deals outside of school because of the exposure to the sport, just because of like social media following and just kind of popularity here and there. Like, you know, Caitlin Clark has millions of followers, but the best volleyball player maybe has like a couple 100,000 just right there. Again, same athlete, same athletic status, but in their sport, but just different popularity. So that's what brands are kind of looking at. And that's why like myself and some other volleyball athletes are trying to really put ourselves out there on social media to get in their faces and say, hey, this is what we're all about. We really want you to be on board. So it's a process, but NIL is a really exciting space that we can really step into and really take advantage of in these next couple of years. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Same. And I think that volleyball and women's lacrosse to me are growing like exponentially. They're like totally killing it. So I think that, you know, you guys will continue to get that exposure as the years go on. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But speaking of exposure, let's talk about your camp, the camp coming up. So let's tell the people when and where is it?
Okay. It is actually I'm going to have to look because I want to give all the correct information so I don't send something to the wrong venue.
Yeah, so, that wouldn't be good.
August 2nd, 2025, me, Emma Halter, and Tori Stafford are going to be heading back down to Austin at the Westlake Athletic and Community Center to run a summer camp, 2 different sessions, one for younger girls, which will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on August 2nd for girls and boys ages 6 to 13, and then 2 to 6 p.m. on the same day with girls and boys ages 14 to 17. And we're going to be down there pretty much all day in Austin. And we want to get as many people out there as we can, just to see as many faces as we can, meet as many girls and boys out there, and just kind of chat with you guys, teach you guys some volleyball. So, yeah.
That's great. And then what are you most excited for about that?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited to be around so many kids at once. I feel like this is going to be a huge camp. And I'm just so excited to see as many faces as I can, meet as many girls and boys out there that are, you know, fans of UT volleyball, and just give them some of my insight about the game, because I know how much that, you know, they love to watch UT volleyball on TV, but I would love to just get to know these girls and boys like on a personal level and just kind of talk to them as a, you know, as a human, not just a volleyball player on TV.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's super exciting. FlexWork always does a great job with their camps. We've been on to a couple of them and top notch. So it'll be great. I'm really excited for you. Any like final pieces of advice for either youth sports athletes or parents who are kind of trying to go through this volleyball recruiting process or figuring out if they want to play in college, and you know, anything that you have on a final note as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, that's good. Well, recently I've been seeing like Instagram accounts of girls that are volleyball players, and it'll be like class of 2032, class of 2033. And these girls are so interested. I don't know if it's them or their parents, but they're so invested in volleyball and getting recruited at a very, very young age. And at the time, I didn't even start playing volleyball when I was their age. So there is, you know, no one's ahead of schedule, no one's behind schedule. I would say just take your time with your recruiting process. Wait until you are a freshman, 8th grader, freshman in high school, or sophomore in high school to really, really zone in on your recruiting process, because you want to make sure that, you know, you're being a kid. Like, you're playing different sports when you're younger. You're playing basketball, soccer, volleyball until like you really get older and decide what you want to do. I mean, there's just so much, which I love it. I love all of these new girls playing volleyball, but I just want to make sure that they don't get burned out by a very young age, because it just seems to be very serious at a very young age. And again, like, I didn't start playing until I was 12, 13 years old. So these girls just have so much of their life ahead of them. I would say don't stress too much about college recruiting. Like, you will end up where you're meant to be, and everything, like even like with recruiting and with the transfer portal, you know, I've seen so many stories of girls just be so happy, like where they ended up. And I would just say, you know, take your time. Don't stress about the recruiting process. What comes will come. And yeah, just play your game. Like, even when you're on the court, don't even worry about getting recruited by colleges at the time. Just play your game. And if a college coach likes you, a college coach will let you know. And, you know, you'll end up being any level, D1, D2, D3, NIA, NAIA. Like, it's all such an amazing accomplishment. So just take your time.
Yep, I agree. And the single sport burnout is real. So definitely, you know, want to try and avoid that and play other sports and have fun with it. So
Yeah.
you're totally right there. But Ayden, thank you for a great interview. It was great speaking with you. And for everybody who wants to follow Ayden on Instagram, we can link her handle and all of her information, plus the link to the camp, the FlexWork Sport Camp coming up in August. That'll all be linked in the copy of the interview. So probably down below by the time you're seeing this. Ayden, do you want to shout out your handle real quick while we're on?
Yeah, my Instagram is just my name. So it's at Ayden Ames, AYDENAMES. Follow me on Instagram. DM me, ask me some questions. I'll be trying to be more active on social media lately. So excited to hear from you guys.
All right. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.